So in this video, I'm going to talk about ebook formatting, which is a complicated issue. Basically, what you have to understand about ebook formatting is that you're not laying it out for print. Like normally when you're formatting a book for print, everything has to look perfect. You save it as a PDF and it's going to print the same as it looks, like the same as you've made it. With ebook formatting, it's fluid. So you're creating a document that's more like a website. So it's text and it's reflowable so that when you read it on a Kindle or an iPhone, for example, the text can reflow. So there might be 100 words on a page or 300 words on a page, depending on the device that they're using. So you can't control things like the line breaks or the spacing or the word wrapping. So, for example, I've had authors say they hate it where in an ebook, there's a leftover word. So like the chapter ends and they have to turn the page and then there's a couple words and they want those couple words to go on the previous page. So that's something you can't control because they can make the text bigger and it's going to be reflowable. What you can control to some extent, and this is kind of what you basically want to do, the first paragraph is usually not indented. The rest of the paragraphs are indented. You have one chapter header or a title. You can embed fonts if you want it to match your book cover so that you get a little bit of a better reader experience. You could add a little bit of a graphics. You don't want to add a lot of pictures, although you could. But basically, it's got to be clean and it's got to work and it can't break or look weird. And so when you do ebook formatting, it's almost always better to be very simple and just focus on getting the story read, because when you try to control it or add other things or add a bunch of special effects, it's more likely that it's not going to look good on some platforms. So maybe it looks good on Kindle and iBooks, but it doesn't look good on Kobo or something else. And you want it to look good everywhere. And the way to do that is just to keep it really simple. So how do we start ebook formatting? Some people love Scrivener because you can format your book in Scrivener and it will automatically generate ebooks for you. I'm not a fan of Scrivener because you can't really control that experience. It works if you use it, that's fine. I prefer to make it in Microsoft Word. What you have to do in Microsoft Word is you have to use heading tags. So you click on the heading style for H1, header 1 for your chapter titles. So that when you go into Microsoft Word and you look at the navigation panel, it'll show up, all of those chapters will show up. And then when you convert it to an ebook, it'll have a navigation that works. You don't need to add in a table of contents in the front of your ebook. So you can, with your print book, you'll do styles and headers and footers, but none of that stuff matters for the ebook because it'll strip it out anyway. So you don't need page numbers, because in the ebook, everything is reflowable. So there's not a page number, there's a location identifier. What you can do is finish the Word document and upload it directly to Kindle, and they'll turn it into an ebook. That's fine, it probably works. I have an online ebook converter at publishexpress.com that you can upload a Word file and then download a Mobi file and an EPUB file. I like to have the EPUB file so I can open it in Sigil, which is another SIGIL Sigil. It's another free platform or software that you can open up an EPUB and make changes and edit and then save it again. And then I drag the EPUB into Kindle Previewer because that will generate a Kindle Mobi file that I can upload to Kindle. That way I know that everything is exactly as I want it and I have more control over it. But if you're just starting out, that might be too involved. You might just want to use... The other reason I don't like Scrivener is because when you have a Scrivener file and then you try to turn it into a print book, which we'll talk about it next, that's a bigger process and you don't have as much control over the print book formatting. And with Microsoft Word, although it's not ideal, you can format a book pretty well from Microsoft Word. That looks pretty good. It's better if you do it in InDesign, but readers probably won't notice that much, and if you want to have control over it, so you don't want to format a book and then have no control over it, because then if there's mistakes or you want to add something, you have to go back to the designer and probably pay more money to get revisions or changes. If you're just publishing one book, it's fine, just pay somebody, but if you're publishing a lot of books, you really need to learn how to do it. And it can be hard. When I tried to learn how to do ebook formatting, I was frustrated. It took me months. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I paid for a course to learn one way of doing it. There's kind of like a right way where it's all coding. You kind of go from scratch. You purge everything out of your Word document, and it's a very, very clean ebook file. Ebook formatters will tell you that's the way it has to be. That's the best way to do it, but it's hard. And you can use something like Calibre, which is a free conversion tool. The thing I have on Publish Express is based off of Calibre, so it's kind of using the same tricks or whatever it does. I don't know. You just kind of upload it and then download your ebook files. You can upload your Word document to Kindle and it will turn into an ebook. That works too. You can also turn your Word document into something for Smashwords, and it will use the meat grinder and make ebook files, and Smashwords will distribute. Ebook distribution is a little bit different, but basically you want to put it on Kindle directly, on KDP, which is a different platform. Amazon has KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, and they also have CreateSpace, which you use for print books, and they're not the same platform, so you need accounts on both, and you upload the files separately. But you want to put your ebook on Amazon through KDP directly, and then you can also, if you want to, distribute ebooks to other platforms. It's harder to put your ebook on iBooks, but you can use Draft2Digital or Smashwords to distribute your book that way. You can use ebook Baby. There's a lot of other platforms now to distribute your ebook. I just put mine on Kindle because it's the easiest, and I focus on Kindle sales. I have other videos. I mean, this is kind of a crash course. If you go to DIYbookformats.com, and I'll put a link down there. DIY Book Formats has walkthrough tutorials about how to actually use these softwares I'm talking about and format your books for ebook and print. So I definitely check that out if you're going to learn how to do it yourself. In the next video, I'll talk about print formatting a bit. It's not an easy thing to learn how to do. You can do it yourself, but you want to make sure not to do a bad job of it because it's important. If it looks crappy, that's going to hurt your reviews and your sales because you want to make the reader experience as good as it can be. So it doesn't have to cost any money. You can do it yourself, but it's not easy. When you do it yourself the first time, it's going to be very frustrating. You're going to get sick and tired of it. I personally hate doing ebook formatting, so I'll usually, for my books, I'll outsource it anyway because I have another guy who can do it for me. I don't know. I'm pretty fast at it now in like Microsoft Word or ebook conversion. It takes me like 20 minutes to format a book. But if I want to do it in InDesign to make a really nice professional print book, I'll pay someone else because I just don't want to do it. So something to keep in mind. You can also just go on Fiverr.com and get someone to convert your book to ebook for you, which you might want to do. Like your first book, it's fine to learn how to do things, but you don't want to waste tons of time and then still end up with something that doesn't look good because that's not a recipe for success. It is good to learn how to do things and have more control over your publishing, but you got to make sure that you're putting it out at a certain standard that's not going to hurt you as an author.